Welcome to Breast Intentions, the podcast where we take off the bra of expectations and dive into honest, empowering conversations. We're your hosts, Nadine and Cynthia, two Canadian girls who swapped snow boots for flip-flops in the Cayman Islands. This is your space to feel seen, supported, and a little less alone. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of champagne and get ready for your weekly handful of truth, wellness, and empowerment. Today's guest is Joannah Bodden-Small, a Caymanian powerhouse blending island warmth with tech innovation. With a background in law, a heart for community, and a deep love for family, Joannah created Caraleya, a thoughtfully designed app inspired by real life. She's here to share her journey, her why, and how she's helping others live with more intention. Welcome, Joannah.
Thanks, ladies. I have been following this podcast. I absolutely love it. It is an honor to be here. And thank you so much for the beautiful work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're so excited to have you here today. So can you share a little bit about your journey and what personal motivations you have that led to the creation of Caraleya?
All right. So my journey began right here in Grand Cayman in 1976. So you can guess, doing the math, that next year I've got a big birthday coming up. So born and bred in Cayman, I'm a proud Caymanian, descendant of the original settlers, which means I've got a very big family here. Went to primary school here, went to high school here, and then instead of doing my A-levels, I actually went to boarding school in Canada for 2 years. So
Where?
I was in Port Hope, hour east of Toronto, at Trinity. It was fantastic. I got to experience seasons. What a thing. And it was a wonderful 2 years, really, really fantastic. So I've got my Canadian friends. I still stay in touch with my boarding school there. It was a really wonderful, wonderful time of life. From there, I went to England and I studied law. I was at university there and I got called to the bar in London in June of 1998. So different type of seasons, lots of rain. I missed my Canadian snow. I really learned to really love that when I was there. And then after getting called to the bar in London, I came back to Cayman and started working with Maples and Calder. And I practiced law for 15 years with Maples. During that time, I managed to accumulate 1 husband, 2 dogs, 3 children. And it was, I loved working at Maples. I loved practicing law. I got to do a lot of community initiatives there at Maples as well. So it was a really great time of life. I made partner. I was very proud to have accomplished that as well. But it got to the point, my husband was partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. So both of us were traveling, working weekends, working long, long hours. And it got to the point where we had 3 children under the age of 5. We had the dogs. It just wasn't this sort of family life that I envisaged, not being there. And it was the same for him. So we flipped a coin and I won. I retired and then just, switched hats altogether from being this, going from a career, woman to a different type of career. So I dove full-time into full-time motherhood with the kids. And it was really quite a shift. But then that's where I got to know Nadine because I got really involved with the kids at school. So becoming a career class mom. So the class mom role is where you help out with parties, you help with reading, you help the teacher. It was really lovely to really get to know the school a bit more. And there was a school that I went to actually as well. So it was really special to be back there in that capacity. I got involved in different charitable objectives during that time. And what really stood out to me then in that time and what led to the creation of Caraleya was my own children had quite severe allergies. Chloe had an anaphylactic reaction to dairy when I tried to wean her to head back to work when I introduced her to infant formula. And then Asher had quite debilitating eczema with the dairy and gluten. And then when I became involved with the class, in that class mom role, helping out with the parties, trying to make sure that the kids could have something that they enjoyed, it was quite clear to me that so many other children were suffering from allergies as well. And it was keeping track of those sorts of things was increasingly hard to make sure that there was something there for each child and there wasn't any stigma attached so that the alternatives that they could have instead were there. And I would say that those are the things that really, those sort of wearing those different hats, and then that was quite pivotal at that time as well, realizing, look, if I'm dealing with this, I'm not the only one. So let's see what we can do about making life a little easier and tracking these things.
So what were you doing before? Did you have a spreadsheet of the kids?
So it's so great that you asked that. What we did actually was I was able to remember. And this was the thing. It was, you remember when we could remember? And you didn't even have to give a second thought. But then as I, getting older and wearing all of these different hats and just accumulating these, details for people that you care about in your life, it gets a lot to keep those details in one place. So instead of having, I found myself looking through messages, trying to call around to remind myself, about the things that, the kids that I was having over at my house couldn't have. And that and then getting it wrong because I got it wrong. And that was really, really what was really starting to be quite painful, because to see the little faces, when they can't have something, and it became quite obvious that there wasn't something there at the party that they could have. And I thought, there's got to be a better way to keep all of this information in a convenient place. And what we did in terms of developing Caraleya was we actually went out and did different surveys of people to find out what do you do in your day-to-day life to make sure that you keep these details accessible and ready when you need it. And what we did was take the data from those surveys and use to feed into developing Caraleya to not reinvent the wheel, but to look at putting in place tools that people were already using, but just instead of having to hop from app to app or platform to platform, to have everything in one place.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Caraleya app? Just a general overview.
Sure. Well, it's like 10 apps in one, as I hinted. It has a number of different features, and they are all designed to help you with the umbrella. The overall umbrella is helping you to live thoughtfully. So it starts with the concept of profiles, where I can create a profile for myself with the things that I like, that I don't like, the things that I'm allergic to, hobbies. We've got a fun feature of wish lists, so that I can talk about that a little bit later. But it's been great to be able to, little things when people are looking to shop for me. You keep a list of the things that you got your eye on, and you can still be surprised, but you just things. I found it just got harder and harder. Me buying for others, and then I know other people would always ask me, "What do you want?" And not that I necessarily want or need a gift, but there are people who really want to get it right for you. So just giving them a little bit of an extra help. So this concept of profiles, we can create a profile for yourself. You can create nested profiles for your children and pets. You can create guest profiles for other people in your life that say, I noticed that, this is your favorite champagne. I could make a little note of it so I know when it's your birthday, I can make sure to have this for you. Or if I notice that you don't drink at all, to make sure that I have mocktails there for you if you come over. So it's the profiles, I would say, would be the heart of Caraleya. And then from there, we've got different supporting features in our little arsenal of thoughtful living features. So we've got an events. You can create events with Caraleya. We've got a really fun greetings feature where you can schedule in advance messages to send, just thinking of you messages, or anniversary, or happy birthday. I just sent one today to a friend. It's her birthday today, and yes, I'll send her a little message on Facebook and I'll call her, but I wanted her to have, she loves dogs, so I sent her a little dog gif happy birthday message earlier today.
So you put all your friends' birthdays in there, and then you get a notification that it's someone's birthday.
Yes. So that is how. So you can track birthdays, anniversaries, memorable dates. Like if you've got a friend who's lost a loved one, I like to be able to know, those days. Be a little, send a little message to them. Just let them know that you're thinking of them. So it really is the details that are important to you, and you can use it as little or as much as you want. It's really how you want to live, how you interpret thoughtful living, and what works for you. and using this, I call it a little digital tool for good to make life easier to accomplish that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I could go on and on about Caraleya.
that was good.
That was some of the headlines, but yeah.
That was perfect. So being Caymanian, rich Caymanian heritage, how does the island's culture of community and togetherness influence the atmosphere and features of Caraleya?
Well, I would say Caymankind is a very real thing. I grew up with this phenomena, before it was even Caymankind. It was lunches, Sunday lunch at my grandparents' homes. My parents were both very involved with Rotary, so we had a very extended Rotary family. It wasn't unusual to have 75 people in the house, And my grandparents, when it was somebody's, if it was a special occasion, they always wanted to make sure that that person had their favorite things there. So whether it was my grandmother's chocolate fudge cake, which my grandma has now passed, but my aunt will replicate that for birthdays. My Granny Betty, my great-grandmother, did this beautiful white cake. She would, and then my mom replicates that now for my children for their birthdays. So I grew up with people just loving to make a fuss over you and spoil you, and you feel, and showing love with thoughtful gestures. And I think that to me is that was my Cayman, that was my childhood, and it is a really beautiful thing that I think carried with me and tried to pay that forward now that I'm in a position where I can do the hosting and making sure that when people come, you notice that you've paid attention to the things that are important to them, whether they're keto, whether they're vegetarian or vegan, or whether, like I said, they're, they have a favorite drink from their wedding, a favorite bottle of wine, those little details I feel can just make such a huge difference. And it's not that it's difficult to be thoughtful. I just feel that we're just so busy that just getting the tools to just have the information in one place that's what was missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely some close friends of mine who have had major things happen in their lives, and I know the dates in my head.
Right.
But life gets busy,
and then
the day goes by, and you're like, oh shoot.
Yes.
Sorry, I completely missed that, but I am thinking about you.
Yes.
But this is a way to help organize those dates or those messages that you might forget.
And scheduling them in advance, because we get derailed on the regular, right? So you wake up that morning like, oh, it's so-and-so's, this is the day they lost their dad. I'm going to send them a message, and then it's, you're putting your head on the pillow at night and said, oh, I forgot.
Right, I forgot, totally. Or 2 days later, even though you had that intention that morning, you still forget. But, and also, like I wouldn't be upset if my friends forgot, because I understand life gets busy, and it's not about that either.
It's not about that.
It's just these special things that we can do for the people in our lives. Yeah.
So then what does Caraleya mean?
So Caraleya is a play on words, and it's got the definitions come from two separate words. So you've got Cara, which means dear one, beloved, and friend. And Leya means loyal to the law. I practiced law for many years. It means lion. I'm a proud Leo. And it means trustworthy. So putting the words together, it is that trustworthy friend. I mean, I think many of us maybe have that person in our group of friends who just seems to always know, sends a little message. Don't forget it's so-and-so's birthday today. Don't forget this. Don't forget that. This is what the kids are into now if you're looking for gift ideas. There's some people who just seem to know. So it worked out so well with the beautiful meanings between the meanings of Cara and Leya, putting that together to be that trustworthy friend who's there to help you through life, especially at this stage of our lives where things are getting harder and harder to remember those details.
Right. It's a pretty name.
It is. Yeah. Very nice.
And then from a legal perspective, finding a name that I could trademark,
right?
Get the domains for, go through all of the legal ramifications as well.
It was important. Very tough.
Yeah, it is not either.
Yes.
You've been there. I've been there.
Struggles. That does bring us to our next question, which is, can you describe how Caraleya serves its users, especially women navigating midlife, and what makes it special for them?
Well, speaking personally, because I am here navigating midlife, and it's definitely born out of my own struggles. So I can tell you what I use Caraleya for. So like today, I just finished a course of medication. no, like many of us, yes, I have my main doctor, but there are times that I have to go to other doctors, and they'll say, when was the last time you had, antibiotics or this course of medication? Today, I took a picture of the box, and I put it in my Caraleya notes, and I put the date and the name, so I know the next time I go, I'll have that information ready. I do that for the kids as well with their medication, so that I've got that information handy.
Otherwise, you'd have to go. I know it's in my photo somewhere.
If you took the photo in the first,
if you took
the photo in the first place, but this was the thing, just having it all in one place. I set reminders for myself and tasks. So there's a system where it integrates with your calendar, which is great. So tasks are cool because you can take a picture and include a link and set up your task and get that remind and get notified about the task, and you got all the information there when you need to accomplish that. So profiles, as I mentioned, it's been great. For Christmas, it was fantastic. It was, my kids all did their Caraleya gift wish lists. I did mine. My husband did his. We did the same for friends and family. We shared our profiles. So they were so happy on Christmas morning because, yes, they love to be surprised. And I don't ever want to take that element of surprise away. But I feel that there's a lot of waste when it comes to gift giving, because you feel like, I've got to get something.
Right.
So let me just go and get this.
Yeah.
But then, is it really something that the person needs or wants? And it's just a way to, I think, overall, just environmentally and otherwise, it's. They were very happy to get just what they wanted Christmas morning, put it that way. And yes, they did get some surprises, but they were happy to have the things that they wanted. So there's a number of things, I think, for us as women in midlife, because yes, we have supportive husbands, and yes, we have other people who do those things, but I feel like a lot of it comes down to us as women to coordinate these special moments for the people in our lives. And it's one thing, when you've got more time, more energy, more mental clarity, to just just be able to remember. But, as one of my favorite, sort of as I'm getting older, one of the things that there's this saying, the beautiful thing about aging is that you don't lose all the other ages that you've been. And looking back at my own life, I've got my primary school friends, I've got my high school friends, I've got my boarding school friends, my university friends, my work friends, and then the people I've met through the different communities and the charities that I've helped with, and then the friends of each of my children, and of course the friends, my doggy mom friends. So you've got all these different groups of people, and you want to be thoughtful. You want, they all have a very special part in your life. And I think it's being able to still be thoughtful with their special details and having them. I go back to having them all in one place, which is just because we've got our phones with us all the time, right? So why not use this for, I call Caraleya a little digital tool for good. Why not use it as a way to make life easier? Help us as we're going through menopause and brain fog and dealing with all of these things to, yes, life is going to be different now because we are maybe just not as productive as we used to be. But accepting that and thinking, okay, what do I need to do now? How do I need to pivot at this stage of my life? Yes, I need to be a bit more organized. I might need to set more reminders for myself. I might need to be a bit more deliberate in my organization. So how am I going to do that in a way that works for me so that I can still be the sort of person that I want to be, live my life the way that I'm used to living it, instead of getting disappointed or depressed in myself because I'm not doing the things that I used to do. So I think that for me is the main thing.
In what ways do you hope Caraleya will impact the lives of the women who use it?
Well, for me, I'm really hoping that it makes life easier. It takes that stress away. It gives them more joy. I get a huge amount of joy in doing things for others. And I think that there's this concept of a ripple effect of kindness. One act of kindness, you don't know where it's really going to end. So I think that there's so many of us that want to inspire joy in other people's lives and just to make life easier. Life is hard right now. I think there's a lot on the news. There's just a lot going on, and it's hard with our bodies changing. There's a lot of change that is you can't control. So I think taking control of things like our own schedule, including self-care, scheduling time, downtime, just the way you would schedule a meeting is really important. So, and I think that's where using a digital tool for good like this, that's how I'm using it to take charge of my life and making myself a priority by also scheduling my thoughtfulness and thoughtful gestures, basically.
Very good.
Can you share a fun story about a feature in Caraleya that was directly inspired by your experiences as a mom and community member?
Yes, I can. Because this is the one that it just keeps coming up. It's fun. It's fun, but it's a little difficult in some ways. So there's a concept of circles in Caraleya where you can actually group different groups of friends. You might have a group of friends, for your book club. You might have your leading ladies group. You might have, a group of friends you play pickleball with. And you have these different groups of people in your life that are really special to you. So you can actually create these circles of people. You can see their profiles all in one place, and you can actually create events from your circles. And that has been really useful for me. I would say the part that is a little difficult is there are times in the busyness that you might plan an event and you might forget somebody. And that is quite painful. You don't get that opportunity back. You can call and apologize to the person. That's happened to me, and I'm actually cringing. I have a visceral reaction to those occasions where that has happened. And so I think for me, the circles feature is a really special one because it ensures inclusivity. And yes, you can, arrange things around your circles. Their circles might change, but at least you've got those groups of people there, so you don't have to worry about forgetting someone. So I think that is a useful feature in a number of ways. So I think we've all been there.
Oh, for sure, yeah. What? Why wasn't I invited?
Yeah.
Oh no, I just forgot it. It's okay, I'll send it to you right away. And then after you're like, well, was that on purpose?
Yes, it is.
And it very well might not have been, but you're kind of wondering, and then the host might be embarrassed.
Oh, it's the same thing with kids too, right?
Yes.
Inviting kids to your kids' birthday parties and forgetting someone.
Right.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It is truly awful. It is. So let's try to avoid that wherever we can, shall we?
Yeah.
So, okay.
What challenges did you face while bringing Caraleya to life, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I would say I am still trying to overcome challenges. I mean, the app is fairly new. So we had the biggest challenges right now are revenue and retention. So I had very idealistic views as to our monetization method that, so a freemium model was going to work. But, looking at the reality of the situation now, we need a pivot from a subscription model to something more. And then retention, just putting, I'm not a fan of ads. I'm not a fan of pop-ups. So, but at the same time, you need a certain amount bringing people back into the app so that they will, they will even just use it so they can understand the various features and how it can make life easier. So I think those are two of the challenges. And then just dealing with bugs right now. We had some early challenges with the initial development. I've got my own development team now, and they're doing an amazing job. So they're remediating some of the issues that we had and making really great progress. The app, each month, we do a new release. We make new improvements, and that's been really wonderful. But I would say Appland is not for the faint of heart. It is not an easy, because every word, every icon, every flow, there's so much that goes into it. It is fascinating, and I absolutely love it. But it is definitely one of the hardest things that I've ever done, and I've done some hard things before. So,
and this is an area that was very new for you, is it?
Totally new to me.
Right.
Totally new. I mean, I was the one, literally, I'd have to call the IT guys. Guys, my computer, it's not working. I don't know what is going on. They'd come up and they're like, Joe, it's not plugged in. I'm like, are you serious right now? What? So I was the farthest thing from techie, but I can share this story if you want, as how, Caraleya came about.
Sure.
It was, I'll never forget the day. It was in June of 2021. So that just gives you an idea of how long this journey has been. So I have a very dear friend, She is the mom of one of my eldest best friends. So, and coincidentally, her daughter has very serious nut allergies. So she and I bonded over, obviously the girls being friends, and then she and I became friends, and, dealing with she's got 3 children as well. So we had a lot in common. It was, and just as a little side note, isn't it wonderful that at this age and stage, you can still meet, amazing people, these friendships are not limited to any time, or it really is, they really come from the heart. So she and her husband came over one evening for dinner, and she brought this beautiful bottle of wine. And she said to me, "This is the wine that we served at our wedding, and I wanted you to have a bottle." And I thanked her, and I took a picture of the bottle. I emailed it to myself. And I said to her, I've been trying to find a way to keep track of these sorts of details, because what I would love is the next time you come to my house, a bottle of this is chilled and waiting for you. But I am not that organized, so I am literally emailing it to myself. I'd created a folder that said drink preferences in like a regular email folder. I mean, and that's what I was starting to do. And I said to her, I have actually been looking for an app that would help me track these sorts of details, as well as allergies. And like I said, because her daughter, I wanted to make sure every time her daughter came to the house that I had something that her daughter could have instead. And I said, I just can't find an app that does this. And she looked me right in the face and she said, why don't you build it? And I said to her, I don't know the first thing about building apps. And the look she gave me was just, so what? And then I found that night, like, it was just like, that lightning bolt moment. Like the idea, it just wouldn't go away. And I found myself up at 3 a.m, making notes, researching how do you build an app, charting flows, and, building what was a blueprint for Caraleya. And then at the end of that year, I said to my husband, I think if I don't do this, I'll always regret it. And he said, go for it. And so I did. So that was that seed that was planted.
In 2021.
2021, can't believe it.
When did you actually launch?
So we launched in May, very quietly, in May of 2024.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So the app itself is less than a year old. Very quietly, because we did have so many issues with bugs, and it was really, I would say, not ready for prime time would be the, word. And we're still on an evolutionary mission with Caraleya, listening to user feedback, fixing things. The Caraleya that is there now is not, I would say, not yet the Caraleya of my dreams, but it's getting there. We recently won a design award, which was really exciting.
Oh, wow.
So it's getting better and better. But yeah, May of 2024, it was out there, but it was out there for the public, and I know for the people who downloaded it very early, for them to look back at that journey and to see the way it is now, I know that, I'm proud of how far it's come, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
And you have a team as well?
Yes.
And was it always the same team?
So I've got some of the team members that are still there from the beginning, but the team itself has evolved as the project has evolved. So, for example, I brought in the development in-house, so then I brought in developers, whereas before I didn't need developers because I had outsourced that to an agency. The marketing now has ramped up, so now I've got more of a marketing team, whereas before it was just very, I didn't need much of a marketing team. So I would say, but I'm still on good terms with everybody who is still a part of the team, which is great. Everybody feels very invested. They're very proud of Caraleya, all of the team members and the ex-team members, and we stay in regular touch. And so that's been, it really was something that was really close to everyone's heart. Everybody wanted to see it succeed. There's no direct competitor that we can find for Caraleya. So everybody was really excited to be part of something new and different, and something that we all hoped would make the world a better place. So
Right. You did also talk about the National Trust as well, right?
yes.
And that's part of the app?
So we have a philanthropic side to Caraleya that I'm super excited about. It is, the same way Caraleya is designed to help people in our lives, and we look after each other. We also have a broader mission to support national trusts around the world by giving back to environmental and other philanthropic causes by supporting these national trusts. So we do a quarterly donation. Our first one was to the Cayman Islands National Trust, and we adopted a blue iguana. Her name is Leia, so you can go down to the Blue Iguana Conservation Facility and visit Leia. You'll see her there.
Cute.
And we've helped with all sorts of. So we've done 3 donations so far because we started in May. So the third one is coming up. Now we'll soon be talking a bit more about that. But what's been wonderful is we work with INTO, the International National Trust Organization, and I'll reach out to them, and we'll talk about the different national trusts under their umbrella and which what sort of projects might be suitable for Caraleya to support. And then we get to choose from there what we feel aligns with our mission. And it's been just a really wonderful thing. So we supported a film in Fiji about their ancient trees, which was super exciting. We helped with St. Helena with coastal preservation research. So that was really exciting. And then, like I said, we've got some more exciting things coming up. So stay tuned for more details.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's been great as well. So like I said, that... and I think that's going back to this Caymankind sort of philosophy is, we're put on earth to, one of my personal mantras is just try to leave things a little better than you find them. And I think that we all have a purpose. You guys with this fantastic podcast, that is helping so many people. I mean, it's nice when you can try to give back in the ways you can. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but even a small, something small. Imagine if we all did something
Right.
something good,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
how that collective the collective result of that. So
I did want to go back to some stuff that we were talking about, midlife and the brain fog and everything. You do also have a personal story and a personal journey as well, right?
yes,
Mhm.
I do. So when I was at Maples in my early 20s, I actually suffered from a stroke, and it was just I recently
kids?
qualified. No,
Okay.
no, not at the time. So
Very young.
I was very, very young. So I had very bad acne, and I was actually prescribed a birth control pill to help with that at that point, the hormonal imbalance that was causing the, this hormonal acne. I also had a small hole in my heart, which nobody knew about, especially me. And I had a very bad migraine headache. So I'd taken sinus medication for the migraine headache. And those 3 things just created it was just like the perfect storm.
Right.
The blood clot developed because of the birth control pill. It traveled through the hole in my heart. It went to my brain. The migraine headache had constricted the blood vessels, so one of the blood vessels burst. But I'm a very spiritual person, and it was that day. I woke up, had the headache. I called my aunt who lived just down the road. Had a conversation with her, and then when I went to get up, I got dizzy and I couldn't. I tried to say something. The words didn't come out properly. And then I tried to use my hand to call her, and I couldn't. It was terrifying. I was able to hit redial, and she picked up, and then she could hear that I was struggling to talk, and she came right over. My sister was home at the time. My parents were actually away, and rushed to the hospital here. And at that point in time in Cayman, I mean, it was. We don't have the facilities that we do now, although the hospital here is really fantastic. But just at that time, it was not perhaps the best place for me to be going through that situation. My parents were due to fly back from a trip that day. They never miss flights, but they missed their flight, and they were in Miami, and they were calling and calling, couldn't get on to anyone to tell them that tell us that they'd missed the flight. So because they were already in Miami, and when they found out what happened, they said, send her up, and we will do what we can to prepare, with the hospital there. It was actually Baptists in Miami who are still, to this day, so wonderful and still looking after me, I should say. So went up to Miami and spent 2 weeks in a hospital there. Had a hematologist, neurologist, and cardiologist. They identified the problem. I got care right away. And that was then, a shift in my life in terms of I went back to work and, continued my career there. But no, I'm not eligible right now for any sort of hormonal. HRT is not an option for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, hormonal, I have to be very careful, put it this way. So my doctors, and I'm very fortunate now at this stage in life to have doctors, and I'm going to go and see Dr. Bella too, by the way, so I can tell her, Bella, Dr. Bella, I'm coming for you. So fortunate that I've got doctors who are just willing to explore treatments available to me, considering that a lot of the regular ones are not available, things that they would not automatically, but some of the usual suspects for treatment are not available to me. So that has been, a big part of my journey that has also fed into Caraleya, because I thought, what if I get to the point where I, for whatever reason, don't have that memory, if my memory is affected to that point, don't I want like a treasure trove of those details about myself and people in my life somewhere secure? Don't I want to still, have those precious memories somewhere? And so that was also, for me, just selfishly or unselfishly, another bonus and another thing that led to that. For me, just how important Caraleya can be for so many people.
I didn't know that story until you told me the other day.
Yeah, it's been a journey. Yeah, it's been a journey. And then, since then and that's where, I'd really just try to look at life with an attitude of gratitude. Growing older is a privilege denied to many. So this is, yes. So when I'm having a hot flash or when I'm, going through the symptoms, I just tell myself, you know what, I could not be here.
Yeah.
Life could be very different for me right now. So let me just see what I can do to get through this and just savor each day.
Right. Yeah. Well, and, I think that's probably also where part of your thoughtfulness for other people too, right, is just how you view life now because of everything that you've been through.
Yeah. Okay.
So going through my next question, which is unforgettable moments. What's the most memorable event that you've organized through Caraleya?
Oh, well, my eldest turned 16 last November. I cannot believe I have a 16-year-old. I'm like, look at you. She's taller than me. It's quite this. I just like, she was tiny and then she was not. So she didn't want to have a big party. But once she did, she's got different groups of friends from preschool, friends from high school, and then she's got her cousins, and then, some of the friends she's grown up with. So she wanted a series of small things. So I was able to organize a series of things for her using Caraleya events, which was really, really special. And her birthday actually fell around Thanksgiving and around our anniversary. So it was a really special time last November, just celebrating her. And there was just so much to be thankful for. And one of the wonderful things with the Caraleya events feature is where people have shared their profiles. You can actually, in the guest list, actually go into the profiles and you can see the things that they like and they don't like. So I was able to do some bespoke things, to make the parties quite special. And that was, so I would say so far, and I've done some other things as well for Caraleya, which, through Caraleya, which has been really nice. But that right now is what I would say is my favorite.
Okay. Caraleya is all about amplifying connections and sparking joy. What's one joy-sparking tip that you would give our audience for connecting with loved ones?
I would say I love the greetings feature personally, because I am that person that I will send a little message, thinking of you. I know this is a special day for you. Just so you know, I'm sending a hug. How are you doing today? I know it's, so I do try to do that. And I find greetings is a really sweet way to do that. And from the people, what I've heard from friends who have received the greetings is that, it means a lot to them. It's something a little different because you can customize it. You could upload a photo. You can do, like I said, a cute gift, like I was mentioning I did for my friend earlier today. So you can make them fun. You can make them a bit more serious. You can put a little message there as well. So I would say that is a very easy way. And because you can schedule them in advance as well, then you don't have to worry about missing the day because you can organize yourself to send them in advance.
Right. Is there anything else about the app that you want to let our listeners know about?
Well, I mean, we are trying so hard to just explain to people how to make the most of Caraleya. So we've got some how-to videos. I would say, please go to our channels and, like and subscribe and, really be a part of this movement, because it is very much built is something, you've got a face to Caraleya now, it's coming from a place of good, I would say, of need, from, really born out of really trying to make the world a better, more and an easier place. So people can reach out to me, Jo at caraleya.com. They can reach out to support@caraleya.com. I'd love feedback from people on how they are finding the app, ways that, what they like about it, what they're finding frustrating, how we can make things better. So I would say, and then obviously, I hate asking anybody for money, but if you feel that, it is the VIP, right now we're doing a really exciting VIP trial. So you can try Caraleya VIP for 7 days. It's $1.99 a month or $19.99 per year. So we tried to make sure that it wasn't cost prohibitive.
Right.
And there's also a free version as well that people, without the VIP features, but which still has a lot of features. So I tried to be quite generous with the monetization model, which my team is like, Jo, you're giving away too much for free. And I was like, well, I can't help it. This is what the app is all about. So I would say that, I would just ask people to get involved with the app, play around with it, and support us. That would be what I would say.
Right.
Please.
And so what's the difference between the regular and the VIP?
So the regular, for example, you can use most of the features, but a paywall will come up. So you can have one nested profile, one guest profile.
I see.
One, 3 greetings a month. Whereas with the VIP, you get unlimited. So it's so you can still quite happily live on the, like my husband. Well, no, not so much him, because he would have more than one nested profile. But there are some people who could quite happily live on the free version.
Oh, okay.
But the VIP is just, gives you, more options. So
okay. And lastly, what is next for Caraleya?
What is next for Caraleya? Well, we are eyeing a B2B, which is business to business, a commercial version of the app, because, a Caraleya for customer care, because there's so many ways that these, making that extra thoughtful, providing that extra thoughtful touch, those extra thoughtful gestures in a business context, really, we feel can make a huge difference to businesses. And it's very important in terms of allergies, being able to absolutely identify, in a restaurant or catering, private chef context, what the allergies are that you're dealing with for the people. Yes. So that is what I'm, really excited about. And then, but in other contexts, so you've got people who are looking after the elderly. That's a cause very dear to my heart. You've got caregivers who, for the families to be able to share the things that their elderly parents might like, not like, their routines, that sort of thing. That is something that would come in very handy.
Also medications, I would feel like medications might change.
Yes.
Often enough where everybody might not be in the loop.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to keep everybody informed.
And then where some medications don't work for people, if they're having a reaction, to be able to track that sort of thing, which is so important. So I would say, I think that there's really great potential there, and that's what we're eyeing right now. So that I would say that's what's next for Caraleya.
And it's not just people in Cayman, right? Like that use it. It's global.
It's global, yeah. So we're in 100 countries, around 100 countries around the world. It's been exciting to see. It's very popular in France, which is super exciting.
Oh,
so we're looking at translating the app to French, which is so exciting. And then, the downloads continue to climb, which is really exciting. So and that's been, we had a really funny story with my team where one person would get a cold, and obviously we're remote, so we're doing using virtual tools. So one person would get a cold in Brazil, and then my copywriter in London would get a cold, and then my product manager in Poland would get a cold, and then it's like it was crazy. And I started to joke. I said, guys, we're gonna have to start wearing masks to our meetings. But what made the flip side of that is I realized working with these people all over the world is that thoughtfulness is not something that is limited by religion, nationality, language. The same way we want to get it right for people in our life, that cuts across, continents. It's a universal truth for people, and it was really just exciting to see how the app resonated with them, with their very different backgrounds and demographics, age, gender, and that was really exciting as well. So.
That's so cool. I guess I never really would have thought about the thoughtfulness in it being universal. It makes sense. I guess I just haven't really heard it out loud.
It's been wonderful just to see how excited people get, and how, as different as we are, these common themes are just so important to everybody.
Right. Well, you're doing a good job.
Oh, I'm trying very hard. Thank you.
And again, people can find you on social media.
Yes.
Instagram, Facebook. You have a website?
YouTube. Yes, Caraleya.com.
Okay.
And we've got...
Oh, YouTube as well.
Yes, YouTube. And we're expanding my... So I'm doing these Founder Fridays.
Yeah. Saw those.
They are not the most comfortable. It's been hilarious because my marketing manager is like, Jo, you need to improve the quality of your videos. I'm like, do you know what a monumental achievement it is for me to get 5 minutes of quiet in my house? Like, you have no idea what an accomplishment this is, that I even get you a video once a week. So it's been really funny. So she's like, oh, you've got to get a microphone and you need to check your camera. I'm like, I am not an actress. I was a lawyer who could not plug in my computer properly. And here I am doing this now. So... but I do appreciate all of the wonderful feedback I get from my team. But it has been, so I've got my personal handles. So I've got, on Instagram and Facebook. So Joannah Small on Facebook and Jo Bodden-Small _Caraleya on Instagram. So I'd love to hear from people. I just really, I'm excited about Caraleya. I really believe in it. And it is really something that is just designed to try to make the world a better place and make it easier for all of us to live thoughtfully.
Especially all of us that are losing our memory.
Losing our minds, losing our memory. But doing it as gracefully as we can. Yes. So, embracing the tools and the resources that are there. And that's where you two come in. It has been phenomenal. I learned so much from your podcast. I know you've only done what? I've hung on every word of all 5 of them so far. So thank you. I was tongue scraping and flossing. I was like, yes, Dr. Talia would be so proud of me. And then Dr. Bella, it's been great. It's such a wealth of information. And I have a lot of, like we talked about earlier, I've never been on a podcast, but I've had many scintillating conversations with girlfriends. So I feel like this might just be the first recorded podcast. So, but this is the sort of conversations that we have maybe in private, but then to be able to put it out to the world, it's so fantastic to be able to share this knowledge with people. So thank you to rock stars for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for joining.
You. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Breast Intentions. We hope you felt seen, supported, and maybe had a few laughs along the way. Don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review us. Your support keeps the conversation alive. Follow us on social media for more insights, behind-the-scenes fun, and updates on future episodes. Got a topic you want us to dive into? We'd love to hear from you. Remember, life's too short for bad bras, toxic relationships, and kale you don't actually like. So until next time, stay bold and keep your breast intentions exactly where they belong, front and center. Now go crush midlife, or at least today's to-do list. Cheers!